Good morning, lovely Nile of Silver Silk.
Good morning, lovely Sam of Sam's Bead Shop.
How are you today?
I'm doing really well. It's been a productive week, and I get to take my lunch break with you. So nothing delights me more than doing some side beading to kind of help de-stress and get my head back in the game for the day job stuff, which is boring. So, and I get to
I
visit
don't.
with one of my good friends. So how
Oh,
can you
I'm
beat
so
that?
glad we get to do this. I also don't know how you do it all, but I'm glad to be here with you right now.
It's a lot some days, but I don't know. Just again, because we get to be together and just hang out for a little bit. Like to me, that's just the more extravagant part of my day.
Absolutely. So, hi everyone. I'm Sam of Sam's Bead Shop. We run Sam's Bead Box and do all the fun live sales and classes. And this is Nile Patel of Silver Silk and More, which is an amazing knitted chain company with like six different types of knitted chain that some of which you have come up with.
Yeah, it's the company's very old. I'm sort of one of the three or four previous owners, and I've taken over not only just the distribution part, but also the manufacturing. So, um, with that, I acquired, I think, four chains that were already being produced, and then thought of more because that's where my brain always tends to go is like, what are the possibilities? And then kind of came up with a couple extra chains in the line of knitted wire chains that Silver Silk carries. So, yeah, I think there's a total of six lines, and I thought about more, but
Oh, I'm sure.
I've
So
got kind of have to also maintain what I have.
Neil is an amazing designer. So this is why he's innovating products, is because they're all design elements. And we're going to take a look at two of them today. His flat mesh and his pipe chain, both of which we work together to do some custom ones, custom color combinations for to go along with the November Sam Speed box, which was this amazing quilt theme of purples and pinks, little hints of orange and copper. So you'll get a little glimpse at what we came up with. And Nile has come up with some beautiful creations using the flat mesh and the pipe chain. We'll tell you all about it as we kind of get going through class. Um, but I think you wanted to start with the amazing bird's nest that you somehow came up with.
I loved all of the different trinkets and beads that you've included in this amazing collection of beads. And I think when we were sort of talking and to really kind of encapsulate the process of how you and I work together is that Sam has a color scheme involved with his monthly bead boxes, and so we're kind of thinking about what chains we want to match with that, and so um, we picked out copper, and then we also like to do custom chains for you specifically and for each bead box. I don't do that with a whole lot of people, so I feel like
I know, I
this
feel
little
very
thing, you're
special.
very special to me.
I love you very much.
Love you too. And so I have this knitted wire bulk, excuse me, this wire bulk spool that I use to create this chain. And this is a color that I don't have in my personal line of inventory. So we picked it out just for the flat mesh, which is available now just to Sam. So I'm
Mhm.
sure you can pop in a link. I don't have it in my stock, but you guys can check out this incredible purple color. It's very bright and vivid, goes amazing with the copper. But I for the bird's nest, if you will, I kind of stuck with the copper theme for this necklace. And I think what we're gonna do is just a little bit of a warm-up exercise. So this is gonna be a component that you can use for the centerpiece of your necklace, a focal point. And it kind of just brings the concept home of using birds, and what do? They nest. So
Same, same.
I'm going to start off with a piece of 20 gauge wire. This wire doesn't need to be any longer than 6 inches, and I went ahead and made a wire wrap loop at the end. If you're wondering on how to make a wire wrap loop, I definitely suggest watching Sarah Lovecraft do her craft, if you will. I went ahead and strung my little bird charm that came in the kit right onto it. And so the loop will be directly sitting on top of the bird, and we're
Okay.
going to actually make the bottom part of the nest next. Here I've got my flat piece, piece of flat mesh. This is this is what did we do with our sizing? Did we do 2.5
Yeah,
feet?
you get 2.5 feet of copper and 2.5
Okay.
feet of the purple, custom purple that come together in one custom pack from Mr. Nile. Well,
Ah,
from
right
the shop
on.
that Nile made for us.
Well, yeah, and I would suggest for any of the custom silver silks that you and I make together, like folks should pick up more than a single packet at a time.
Mm.
I think because the combination after that does kind of ceases to exist, right? And we don't know when that color is going to be made again next. So, and I would use, my copper for the entirety of the necklace, and then I have that beautiful amethyst color to use on something else. But anyway, I'm going to string my wire right through that flat mesh at the end there. And I'm going to loop it back around. This is sort of a technique I came up to make flowers, in fact. So we're just sort of re-engineering it here to create a little nest for our bird to sit in. So I'm going to just loop it several times, in fact. And we're going to do a little bit of a different thing once we get a few loops in. The other thing is you want your loops to face down toward the bird. So what I do is I just grab my loop and I start to kind of push it, and it starts to form a little bit of a curvature in the petal there. And so I'll do that one more time. So that I've got a total of 3 on there. And I'm not being very specific in measurement with my loops here. I'm kind of just taking it organic. Remember, well, rather than remembering, I feel that the organic style is very nesty, right? There's some sense of purpose to it, but also if everything looks even, it just kind of looks a little boring um, from that perspective. So what I'm doing now is I'm just going to weave my knitted wire in and out a couple times. I may even go back up and kind of scooch this whole thing back up and sort of secure my weaving just by going back through my wire there. And then I'll go back and kind of just do that again until it starts to become sort of roundish and a little bit more stable with the weaving. I know it looks a little crazy right now, but you will see the
No, it looks
magic.
spectacular, and I'm just sitting here wondering how you came up with this concept.
I don't know. I think I kind of looked at doing some flowers earlier, but and then I had all these wonderful birds in front of me, and I was like, I wonder if I could just do this into like this little nest or whatever. So yeah, I mean, I just kind of wove it in and out until it started to become something. Um, and you could manipulate the wire too. It's totally up to you how you want to use it and form, whatever you want with it. If things start to not look like they're working, you can always just take it back out. The knitted wire is very durable, and it doesn't, as you could see, I just took this entire thing like kind of pretty much out. I didn't make this lapse loop big enough, in my opinion, but even though I poked a bunch of holes through it, it's still like super sturdy and super knitted
Mhm.
and still got that great tight weave.
It's such a nice way to see the flat mesh in a totally different form because we've shown it a lot as it classically is used, which is as a chain.
Hmm.
And I think you even showed like how to make it into a veil, but now we're seeing it as like almost like a structural. It's almost like becoming a bead itself, which I think I find so imaginative about it.
Yeah, yeah. It can be used to create components if that is, a place that you want to take it. It's absolutely possible. Um, and I feel like I tend to do that with some of my stuff is taking it out of the context of what it's supposed to be and trying to figure out another use for it. So you see, I just got this cute little nest that just works great. And so whenever you get there at the end, I just strung it right back through. Um, Hi, Melanie. That's so sweet. We had some sweet people that love us, and it makes me so happy. But I love them too.
The bestest of
Um,
people.
I do love our bead crowd. We're in the int group, I'm saying. So, in order to cover up that little bit of mesh that kind of, is just kind of stuck in there, and I don't want it to be a pokey outy thing. So what I'm going to do is use one of your little flower petals that's also within the bead box, in fact, and use that as sort of a way to taper out my nest. And now all I have to do is just create, need a couple tools here. I'm gonna grab my chain nose pliers, and I'm going to grab a pair of round nose pliers. And I could just create a nice little wire wrap loop here at the end. And I'm basically ready to, connect whatever I want to my design here. And I went ahead and made some beaded chain, in fact, and I can connect all this together. So a good place to mention some inspirational resources and photos is the SilverSilk page that I put together for Sam that has some examples of stuff you can do with the custom chains I made for him. So there's our little bird just kind of tucked away in the nest, hiding, if you will. And I made this sort of asymmetrical design with the beads and just sort of balanced out my colors, balanced out the weight. This strand has a lot more smaller beads. This one has like a nice chunk bead to it with that beautiful heart. And I feel like you love all my definitions. You live for
I love all the
it.
Miele vocabulary.
So I just made a series of simple loops and simply connected those to my new bird's nest that I've just created. So yeah. And then one note I want to make with the flat mesh, because I went ahead and did it ahead of time, is that I bent it in half just at the top part before stuffing it into my crimp. The more meat you have in the crimp, the better the hold is. And so whenever you press it in there, I like to fold the last part of my knitted wire, just overlap it a little bit and then shove it in there and then give it a good squeeze. And that's going to give it a really great hold.
Yeah, so that's the tear cast crimp end.
Yes.
There's two binding possibilities with the flat mesh. So Nile carries a custom finding for the flat mesh you can get from him. At the shop, we carry the tear cast crimp end in 6 different finishes, so that you can. It's like a maybe slightly more cost-effective one. It's not. Maybe Nile's are very fancy and gorgeous. So this is the second option that we have in the shop. So you can check those out on the website and pick that up along with your flat mesh. This month we didn't do a pack with a tear cast and flat mesh together. We just did the flat mesh with more of the flat mesh and then the crimp ends on the side, so you could kind of pick out which finishes and how many you want of those.
I was just going to say, I think that's a better way to go about it too, because I feel like there's so many great colors out there, and mixing and matching is sort of, I don't know, kind of the fun part about, finding the right bindings and color palette and SilverSilk and all that good stuff. So
Yeah.
I think that's a great option.
And just definitely keep in mind that folding in half idea from Nile to get the crimp end full enough so that when you crimp it down, it really will hold nicely.
Yeah, definitely. You can kind of see a little of that raw end in there, but which I need to trim back. But yeah, I just folded a little bit and then just stuffed it in there. Stuffed it in there. I don't know what I just said. Yeah, so I got another project for you. This one is a quilted, what did you call it? A quilted square, which a beaded quilted square.
It looks I mean, you literally made the theme. So our theme was quilting bee, which is like social quilting, and we love that feeling of that social aspect. That's feel like what we do here with all of our bead friends. So we kind of turned that into a theme, and then you turned that theme into a necklace, making a whole quilted necklace that I cannot wait to see how this comes together.
It definitely came full circle with that, and I think whenever I made it, I was like, Sam's going to just flip over this. It's going to be the
I know.
perfect
I
thing
got
for
the text. They text me a photo of the necklace. I was like,
him.
"Are you kidding me? Like what? Absolutely insane." I'm gonna try to pull up a photo so folks can see where we're heading with this.
Definitely. I think the way that this is put together is quite clever. And it's
Here's
so
the
easy.
necklace.
Yeah, it's just like a little square. And I don't know, maybe you could make a quilt out of it if you made a bunch of these, but we're just going to take a patch of it and wear it.
I just think it's so. I'm just like so fascinated to see how you came up with that
For
design.
sure. No, I'm happy to talk through it. This is a very easy one to put together. It just requires a few materials. What I'll do is I'll cover the materials first, and then we'll get into the actual construction. So the first thing is let's go over the beads because that's the juicy stuff, right? With Sam's beads, any of these materials are fairly interchangeable. And if you have this kit already, that's wonderful. Uh, let's see, or this bead box rather. So here's what I'm using: the pink Rhodonite faceted round 8mm 15-inch strand. From that strand, I've only taken 16 of those beads. The next thing is some, and by some I mean 4. I'm gonna put those out here because last time I did this, I forgot to include them. Because I practiced ahead of time, and I was like, I gotta get this right. Let's see. We got the Czech English cut Czech bead, excuse me, in lavender amethyst, and this is a 3.5mm beads. So this is going to be sort of our anchor for our design at the bottom. I've got some crimp tubes, and you can see I've got 2 different colors here, and it's because these are from Softflex, but I wanted to use copper, and the thing with copper is that they've got an insanely thick wall, which is great. If you're passing a couple strands through it, you can get there through that pretty easily. I'm going to, at one instance, be pushing in 3 strands of it. And so that kind of got me stuck last time.
Yeah. So
And
what
so
did
I've
you
got,
come up with?
yeah, I mean, I'm gonna switch to gold if that comes to that, just to get the point across.
Yeah.
But I'm hoping I can fit the 3 strands through that copper one.
Yeah. I have to be honest. I had to stop using the copper ones for any project that needed 3 strands because I almost always need 3 strands to go through.
I was
So
able, and it's funny because like off camera, I seem to have no problems and I can cut stuff at an angle and hold it this close to my face and do it right. And then whenever I'm like on camera, it's like forever trying to poke it into the thing. And so I was like, okay, let's speed this stuff up and just use the gold crimps. Everything's
yeah.
going to be fine, I
And you can always
promise.
use, and folks can always use like a copper crimp cover. A good
Yes,
combo is you use the sterling crimps from Softflex, which are like the best, and then use their copper crimp covers, which cost next to nothing, on
right.
top of it.
Yeah, that's great advice. I think that's a perfect way to go. What are these guys, Sam? Because I had the package out and I can't find them anymore.
Those are the Orion spacers with the 4 points.
Beautiful. Okay, so you will need 20 of those, and I just picked out because I think there were 2 colors in the packet,
Mhm.
and I picked out a nice contrasting color, sort of that butterscotch AB, beautiful yumminess. And then we've got this great Carnelian freeform pendant. So have that out to the side. And then I've got a clasp set there, and I've got a few jump rings to kind of tie everything off. And then the last couple things I need are some more 20 gauge wire. This is about 8 to 9 inches. So I'm gonna have that to the side. And then I'm gonna need some Softflex medium beading wire. So this is pink tourmaline, a perfect match to my rhodonite beads here. And I've got one strand of it that's about 10 or so inches. And then I'm going to have 2 separate strands that are a little bit shorter. So this is probably closer to 6 inches each. And then to those strands, I went ahead and created a little crimp as my quote unquote head pin. And I wanted to show you guys real quick how to do that. Okay, so you're
Clever.
just going to do that to the two shorter strands. So I went ahead and strung on my copper colored crimp, and I've looped my beading wire back through it. I'm going to push this out of the way. I'm going to grab my magical crimpers. These just have a single divot. And what you do is you just put it right over the crimp and you press it flat. And you should see a little pressed square that has little pinched ends. I know on camera it can be a little bit difficult to see and focus on with it. I think that's probably as good as it's gonna focus. And once you've done that, it kind of resembles a ravioli for lack of a better term. But once you've done that, you just turn it on its side and then you start to press it around and around. Yes, Wanda, who watches all my videos, knows exactly what I'm talking about.
I mean, you and Sarah Ayler are the king and queen of pasta making here.
Not in real life, but definitely when it comes to crimp. And for all I know, maybe Sarah is a great chef and can actually make pasta as a food product. I've never really tried. I could be terrible at it.
I love that we just learned how to make a new head pin here.
Yeah, it's so easy, and it's super versatile. You can use it for anything, for baubles, for fringe, for whatnot. Great little technique there. All right,
If
so I'm
we
gonna
have
set those guys. I'm
if we
sorry.
have our knotted head pin, we now have our ravioli head pin.
Ooh, I like that.
Uh-huh.
It's much more, I don't know, imaginative than ravioli, or than just a knotted head pin, right? It's like it's a food product.
You have to make it a little more spicy.
I love that. I guess it depends on the stuffing, right?
What do you put on your pasta, Nile?
What do I put on my pasta? You know what? I love a good Alfredo sauce. I'm not even gonna be mad about it. But saying that.
I wish I could use Alfredo sauce and not die.
Oh no. Do you have an allergy to it?
Oh, just a good
Or,
lactose intolerance, but I keep lactate with me at all
oh,
times.
oh my. Well, I'm sorry for that. That I can see that would put a damper on things for
But don't get me
sure.
wrong, I also love an Alfredo sauce.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's hard to resist. It's definitely hard to resist. Okay, so what I'm doing is I've strung on a rhodonite bead, and then I've strung on 4 of those Czech glass beads that we need, the 3.5 millimeter ones. And now I've just kind of strung back through my rhodonite beads. And so this is going to create the bottom part of our necklace square, our pendant square. And now what I'm going to do is pull it all tight so that it should look exactly like this. Okay, now what I'm going to do is string on a bead onto both sides, my rhodonite bead to both sides. And I'm going to crisscross it in another rhodonite bead. So you'll string essentially 2 to one side and 1 on the other. The side that has just 1 rhodonite bead, you're going to take that beading wire and you're going to crisscross it into that other bead from the other side. So if I lay it flat, it'll look like this. Okay, and then you just pull it tight. I'm going to do that again 2 more times. So string on 2 on one side and 1 on the other. Take the side that just has the 1 bead and crisscross it in the second rhodonite bead of the other side, so that you start to create this sort of, I don't know, smaller squares, if you will. But you're just repeating this stitch pretty much once more. Trying to get my words here as I'm doing this.
It's so smart because the stitch we've done, but you've turned it into I love you've taken a very fundamental technique and then have made it into an entirely new thing.
Yes. You know what I also forgot though?
What?
I forgot to add my Orion beads to any of this, so I'm going to backtrack here.
All right, we're backing up, folks. Watch
Backing
out.
up, folks. But you know what though? I wanted to teach that stitch because now I can go a lot faster. Sorry about that.
No, you're all good. We've now learned the stitch.
Yeah, you're going to be using that stitch, but we're going to take it up a notch and we're going to string our star beads between all of them. And I did that just to add a little extra texture to our piece, our design. So anytime that we're doing this stitch, you want to make sure that we've got a little star or a little Orion bead between all of these. So I've got 2 on one side and 1 on the other. I'm going to string on another star bead so that I end with a Orion bead on one side on just a single bead, but I don't on the other, because you'll see once we crisscross it that it's going to have it all nice and spaced out like that. Okay, so that looks correct from where I was before. So we're going to do that all over again. I'm going to string on 1 Orion bead, 1 Rhodonite, 1 Orion, and 1 Rhodonite. Okay, on the other, 1 Orion bead, 1 Rhodonite, and 1 Orion.
Every time you say Orion, I hear the O'Reilly theme song in my head.
Amazing.
O'Reilly.
Oh gosh. So you've associated that with my voice with the car commercial.
Only when you say the word Orion. Only that word.
That's hilarious.
One more O'Reilly.
Orion. I could turn it into a song. I mean, you know.
I know what you know how they did like a musical episode of Grey's Anatomy way back when? We've never done a musical episode of Making a Necklace.
Okay, we're definitely doing that next time.
How to Make a Necklace, the musical.
Yes. We need to get some people involved in that. And also, I'm going to need some voice lessons. Unless you just do it, and I can just provide some backup dancing, perhaps. All right, folks, there it is. That's the stem of your design. Okay. And luckily, the rest of this is easy peasy to put together. So what I would do at this point is if you are a hand talker, because like I am, but I'm going to try and be good for this video, you can put on little clamps here at the end, little bead clips or something to hold that in place. I think I can get away with doing this without having to hold it all in place. So what I'm going to do is take my shorter strand of beading wire, and I'm going to go up through my Rhodonite. And I'm going to go up through the next one as well. So both of them at the same time. Maybe. There we go. I know I can go up through it twice because I've done it before. And I'm just going to pull it right through. Alrighty. So now I'm going to repeat the same pattern as I did earlier, except I'm just going to do it on this one arm. So that requires 1 Orion bead. I know you're singing it in your head, Sam.
I just can't stop. I can't stop at this point.
Okay,
but I'm also enjoying this beautiful necklace. I'm enjoying all of it, Neely.
It's a full show. We're here for entertainment as well. Okay. So here I've got a pattern, and I'm going to spread this out and show you in detail as I'm doing this, in fact. Okay. So I've strung my beading wire, my head pin beading wire. I don't know what we're calling it. Up through that last Rhodonite bead that's on the right-hand side. And then I'm going up through the middle there. And then I'm stringing on 1 Orion, 1 Rhodonite. That's set 3 times, ending in a Orion bead.
Okay.
Okay, and then I'm going to go up through that Rhodonite bead in the center one more time. And I'm going to need my assistance of my pliers here to kind of help guide my wire through it. But it'll go through several times. I've had zero problems with that. It's, again, one of those things that I get on camera and then, like, you know, stuff just goes awry. But I'm also going up through the right side of my rhodonite bead there, or the right part of my necklace pendant.
Yes,
What am I
Wanda.
trying to say? The right bead of my last weave there. That's, I think that's probably more accurate. And that way I've got two wires now that are sort of crossing each other there. So we'll do this all over again for the other side though. So don't worry if you're lost. And at this point you could just kind of tighten all this up by, you know, pressing it toward you and then pressing, well, never mind. I'm just babbling at this point. Okay, let's do that all over again. I'm going to take my beading wire. I'm going to trim off that crappy end there. There we go. And I'm going to go up through that last bead that's, not last, I don't know why I keep saying last, the right-hand side bead. I flip this whole thing around and I'm going up through that right side bead. At the same time, I'm going to go up through the middle right side bead.
This whole thing's like totally reversible, right? Because it will look the same on the front.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, you can, and oh, sorry, go ahead.
She asked if it's extra fine soft flex, but I think you're using medium because you're using a color.
Where did that package go? Here it is. Yeah, this is the stuff. Medium size soft flex beading wire.
Neela, did we tell you that the soft flex trio for this month has pink tourmaline in it?
You know, I kind of suspected because it matches so well with the kit. So, but you know, offhand, I didn't know that, so I'm glad I picked it.
Because I just realized, like, wait, I don't think I told Neela that because we did pink tourmaline, purple amethyst, and copper as the soft flex trio for this month.
Perfect. But I feel like the color coordination is always consistent across the board with you guys. So am I surprised? Not really. Am I delighted? Absolutely.
Oh. I really think we need to show this design to Sarah Ayler. I think she would be through the moon. That's not the phrase.
Oh, definitely. I'm so bad because I never announced.
Over the moon.
She'll be over the moon.
She'd be over and through the moon.
Over and through the. Oh wow, that's a lot of places to be. So I strung on a pattern of one Orion, one Rhodonite, another Orion, one Rhodonite. So basically, there's a Orion bead between 3 Rhodonite beads. Isn't that just more simple? Oh, thanks, Joan. She's got me covered. She's got us covered.
We love Joan. Thank you, Joan.
Thank you, Joan. Okay, and then I went through the right bead, that right Rhodonite of my top side, and I'm just going to pull all of this together now. And that's the structure of my pendant, right? Because the thing is, having these extra arms helps keep the center part supported and keeps it nice and straight and not, you know, flexing all over the place. So at this point, we can start to, I'm going to do this. I'm going to see if this works. And if it doesn't, I'm going to switch to gold crimps. But the idea here is just to get us a couple small loops on each side here.
I'm sorry, I'm such the pessimist. There's no way. I've tried so many times.
I know, no, I have too, trust me. And the likelihood of like failure here is pretty big. So we're gonna try though, because I'm very stubborn.
My aunt calls them learning opportunities.
Yes, or just stubbornness. I don't know.
No failures, just learning opportunities.
I did get it to go through. Yay. Maybe it's just on certain crimps that hate me. Like, you know what I mean? Like, sometimes it's just, I feel like it's a failure sometimes, and I don't know why. But it's really, I will say it is more difficult to do that than anything. I would go with the route of crimp covers for sure. You see, I just pulled the whole thing out just as soon as I did it. Nope, we're gonna do the gold crimp.
Hmm. Hmm.
We will then. I mean, I could spend time doing this, but I just feel like it's too much. It's too much. Sherry also watches like all my videos. Says that this is looks complicated, but it really isn't. I think if you with these sort of videos too, you can go back, pause, rewatch, and really get this whole pattern down pretty quickly with just some practice.
I also love that you could make multiple of these from the bead box because you only
Yeah,
used a little bit of the rhodonite. You could then use the purple Orions. Actually, no, we gave 60 mixed pieces of the Orion, so you could make at least 2 or 3 of these.
yes. Well, and I'm thinking about whenever I like to make patterns like this, I always think about the versatility of them. And I know most of the folks probably use up all the beads in your bead boxes at any given time, but some of us, me included, enjoy hoarding things too. And when we find the right pattern, you know, I mean, I will have brought out beads from 10 years ago if I found the right thing to
Right.
make something with. Um, and you carry a lot of 8mm beads in not only just your bead boxes, but your personal online inventory in your store. And so imagine just switching up the colors to like making this right to get practice and then finding some other beads to make more pendants and trying to figure out other color combinations. To me, this is a very versatile technique.
Yeah, that's actually a great point. Like we have those Orions in more colors. We of course sell faceted around gemstone beads and other stones.
Hmm.
I see what you're saying here. We have the English cut there at the bottom in like tons of colors with more on the way. Yeah, you could totally adapt this to become like your own color palette.
Oh yeah, for sure. So all
Uh-huh.
I'm doing is I've just looped it back around into my crimp tube there successfully with the gold crimps. But you know what? The gold kind of matches and works and plays well with the butterscotch. So I think in retrospect, like it's not going to even really show a whole lot. But again, don't be afraid of crimp covers because I've had my fair share of those as well over the years and still enjoy time to time using them. Okay, and I'm just going to clip off the ends here and here. And now you can just use your jump rings to attach everything together. We're going to do that Carnelian pendant real quick and get this all attached. I like to do a front clasp because historically it's just made more sense to me. I mean, I don't know. Isn't it easier to clasp things up front than it is behind your head?
I actually guess theoretically. Also, how did you know we just launched that toggle in the shop?
You did? I have this one in my personal stack. Are we just it's just because we're thinking the same things because great minds think alike.
I just like, feel like are we becoming the same person?
I hope so. I really do. That would be
That is
phenomenal.
so funny. Like we literally just launched that toggle like last week.
That's perfect. So grab the toggle, grab some jump rings,
Grab some soft
make your
flex,
pendant.
grab your
Yes, some
silver
soft
silk.
flex.
We got you
All the
covered
things.
for all of this. You can get
Actually,
basic
yes,
material for this project from
that
the
is
shop.
true. That is a fact. You guys have all the goods, and now you know another fabulous design to put together whenever you get your ingredients. There we go. So, you don't need much floof with this design. Just keep it simple, keep it elevated and beautiful. And now we're just ready to make our piece here at the bottom. I wasn't sure how I felt about the Carnelian in addition to this color palette. It was more of an experiment and test for me personally. I think because there's enough coppers in the design, having that little splash of orange and red isn't going to be that big a deal. And you may not want this, but again, Sam probably has a lot of great options in the shop for whatever, if you do
Really
want to add a
simply
pendant.
pop it. I personally have the orange tone has really grown on me in this box.
Yeah.
'Cause I think there's always like that one color in a palette that makes the palette feel stand out versus like any typical palette. Like you typically will often see purples and pinks together. But then when we started adding in the orange and copper tones, that's when it started to transform into like its own personality, its own theme.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's nice to have a few contrasting colors because it's not all matchy matchy too, right? So like that's what gives this whole thing, this whole packaging, its versatility is the fact that yeah, these colors are not the same, but you know, you don't have to be afraid to match them and put them together because they're all warm tones and hues. Um, and I think once you start to kind of play with the colors, you discover something new about them and how they can work together. And for me, you know, I would look at Rhodonite and Carnelian individually. I'm really just wrapping that, like, there's no technique to this, you guys. I'm just wrapping the wire around my end loop there. I'll show you once I pass this through. I don't even remember what I was saying. That's how involved I got.
You're saying the Carnelian and Rhodonite next to each other.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Like individually, I wouldn't really see that working together. So it takes another color, another a buffer almost to help those colors work together. And for me, it was the copper that helped tie everything together because copper is orange in its essence, right? It's that color is orange, but it's this light metallic color that can play well with a lot of other colors and materials. And so for me, it just sort of worked putting those together. So I might have to do a little bit of off-camera action to really get this to look nicer. But basically, I just took my wire and wound it around and around and into my stone there. And you can kind of cut this wire short and oops, sort of fold this into the loop itself or into the hole of the stone. That way it's just sort of hidden and tucked in there. And do the same thing on this other side. So nothing to it. Just gives a little bit of an organic feel.
And it's nice. There's so many ways you could do this bail. We even like have the crimp bail from Cast that you can crimp right onto it. So it's if you want a different look, it's like we have the leaf crimp bail.
Yes. Oh, any of those options would be amazing. You know, just depending on where you want to take it. But the thing with the Tierra Cast components too is that they're very consistently plated. So it's nice to have not only their end caps for the flat mesh, but then you get the toggle and then the bails and stuff too. They all match together. So I like that aspect about them.
This is such a creative piece. I can't believe you've taught us this much on your lunch break, Nile. I'm so thankful. I'm so inspired.
Anything for you, Sam. And I try and keep this kind of just easygoing and, you know, fun but decorative, I guess, is the brand.
Would you lay out both pieces we did so we can the final look?
The final look. Okay, this is part of my runway collection. Ready?
This season on Project Beadway.
This one's kind of longish, so I'm trying to arrange it in a way that like makes it look, you know, decent. And then I have my bird. I don't know. This is my bracelet, I guess.
Oh, we didn't even show the pipe. So Nile made two different pipe chains for the November box. We did this purple this is the copper wire over the purple tubing. That came out so beautifully.
Yes,
You've never done something like that, right?
No. I would say 90% of what you acquire, like, because I also don't do trios or duos with the colors. That's something that's special to you and your company. So most of what I do for you is all custom work. And
Yeah.
so yeah, the purple tube with the copper color over it, that's not something I carry either. That's something that's fully branded for and the vision for the box.
It's so cool because and then we did a second one for November. We did a purple wire over a pink tube, is like this really bright, vibrant pink
Yes.
tube. So there's like a whole plethora of options. This is the most options we've ever done for a bead box, because all the other months they've sold out so quickly. So we decided to do it.
Give you guys a few extras to
Giving a few
have on.
more yeah, exactly. So like previously we had done like a pipe chain and a flat mesh together, but now we're doing like an entire pack of flat mesh, entire pack of pipe chain, so that you have enough to make more than just maybe one piece. So
Yeah, as like for me, I can have the full runway collection, but I also think that the amount of beads that because all of these things you can make from the box. This is all like stuff from one box, right?
Mhm.
And including this charm and everything. I just used it in different ways to produce this little set of things. And I could keep going because I still have like a half bag full of beads from that box
Yeah,
to
I'm
make other
sure.
stuff too.
Yeah, so we are sold out of this box. This is the November box, and it was very popular, and it has sold out. We have individual extras on the website, so definitely you can go to the Bead Box Extras tab, and we have most items, or at least many of these items we have in stock. You can purchase individually, but I, of course, super recommend subscribing so that you can get the box ongoing and never miss a bead and never miss a theme. So we are shipping the December box out on around December 10th. So you have until December 9th to get subscribed. It is a gorgeous box.
I got a sneak peek of it, so I feel like I'm in the in group here, but that's only because I'm also making chain for it, which you'll have in stock for that soon.
which Neela gave me a sneak peek of the chain for December right before this, and it's so pretty.
I was because like I don't even try this many combinations, and then there's certain ones that I'm just like, ooh, this works, and then there's ones that I'm just like, wow, this works. And this one is this upcoming one to me just screams luxury, and it screams high end and very, very expensive. But it's not, it's just the colors that you guys come up with.
Well, there's your hints, folks, at December. What could Neela mean by luxury?
Luxury.
Yeah, it's a really cool December theme. I think it's very elegant feeling. But I will not say anything more because I don't give clues.
I've probably given away too. Well, I was talking about the knitted wire, so
Of course, only the knitted wire. Alrighty, I will let you get back to all of your amazing things that you do. Thank you so much, Neela, for this wonderful class. Everyone, send Neela some love by heading to the SilverSilk YouTube channel. You can like this video on the SilverSilk channel and on the Sam's Bead Shop channel. It would help both of us out, and leave a comment on both. Subscribe to both channels, and then just throw a party and celebrate Neela.
And Sam. No, but I appreciate this. I love that we can get together and do some beading, and I get to use some cool stuff from the box that just elevates my taste and design, and I get to share that with you guys. So thank you for that.
It is so wonderful collaborating with Neela. I think next month you're on your long vacay, so I'm going to be challenging myself to design with the December chains. So I have shoes about this big to fill.
Oh, you have just been killing it, sir. I think your design just keeps going up and up, and I don't know if I've seen you do too many things with SilverSilk. I know I've seen a few things for sure. But I have no reservations or anything that you will like just kick ass on it. I'm designing something spectacular with it.
I appreciate it. I'm very excited to jump into the December chains very, very soon. So everyone, make sure you're all like on the Sam's Bead Shop email list. You'll be in the know when we launch the next round of SilverSilk. But for now, all of this new SilverSilk for November is available at samsbeadshop.com. And if you want to pick up your crimp ends from Tiercast, you can get those from us as well. or the SilverSilk official components from Neely, which is SilverSilk Online, right? Yeah,
Yes,
.com.
silversilkonline.com.
Because he also released findings for the pipe chain that are stunning. So highly recommend checking those out. But with that, we are signing off, and I will see all of you for our live sale tomorrow. And then TBD on class on Friday, because I might be doing a last minute trip to New York. So I will keep all of you
Ooh, that's
in the loop.
fun.
Yeah, I'm very excited. I might have Audra McDonald tickets at Carnegie Hall.
Wow.
I
That
know.
sounds so amazing. Ah.
I know. I'm very excited. So have a wonderful vacation, Neil. I probably won't see you until January. And
I guess we'll be in and out. And I'll have my workshop at the end of December too. So
yeah,
I'll be back in the front stage and doing my thing then. I'm going to be doing vocal rehearsals before that. So yeah, you'll catch me in and out.
lovely. All right. Have a great one, everyone. Bye, Neil.